And then growing up, still trying to figure out who you are, but then being on TV and then the whole bunch of things adding to the fire for why I would get picked on.
Jans, you just run like 250 Ks, a hectic story. Please tell me all about it.
Yeah, so it was a couple of weeks ago now. I ran 250 Ks for mental health. Mental health and suicide is something that's really close to me, and I've had close calls and have had some calls with family, friends and people in my life. So it's something I wanted to raise more awareness of. I did it in the name of the charity, the foundation Live Org. They have a great tagline, which is "It ain't weak to speak." Now, especially amongst men as well, I'm sure you would deal with it. Men don't really give out their emotions, or they hold things in, and they're too afraid to like lose a little bit of masculinity, so they don't speak up. So for me, I do one challenge every single year. Obviously training for that specific challenge, not just showing up and trying to like smack out 250 kilometers without a plan, because that's just silly. So this year was 250 kilometers, and I decided to do it in a circle. So around a 400 meter track, actually just down the road.
Griffith University?
Griffith University. Because number one, I wanted to make it easier for people to be able to join in if they wanted to come down and support, and also help me raise awareness. And number two, it was what was going to be mentally harder for me to sort of test what I'm capable of. And so it was in a circle, as opposed to doing around the Gold Coast, which is what I did last year. We ran into a lot of problems with, where is he, support, the tracker dying, which wasn't amazing. It was a great time, but it was definitely a lot harder doing it that way, in terms of being able to get that support when you needed it, and for people to be able to join in. So did it around a track this time.
Dude, how many laps was that?
So 625 laps. Yeah.
Did you stop? Did you just keep going?
So I went into it with a plan, right? So I was running 13 minutes, and then I would walk for 2 minutes. So mentally, all I had to worry about or focus on was 13 minutes, and then I got to walk for 2 minutes.
And there have been parts in there when you're like, 13 minutes is so hectic.
So to be honest, I got to about 200 Ks and I was still feeling really good, like mentally, physically, like I was walking off the track.
You hadn't stopped walking and running in terms of moving?
In terms of moving, so I would have a break after 24 kilometers.
Okay, yeah.
So I would change direction. This is how I started. I would change direction every 12 kilometers. And then after the next 12 kilometers, I would go and have a break for between 5 to 7 minutes. I set a timer on my phone, and then I'd go back out there and repeat. And then I started changing direction a little bit earlier than 12 kilometers. I kind of did it every second 15-minute block. So which was the 13 minutes, 2 minutes. So twice an hour I would change directions, because it's a lot on your hips going that one way around a circle. You can't feel it, but like you can imagine, like you're on that slight curve constantly for your hips. It's not amazing. So to balance it out, it's important to change direction. And then it got to 200 kilometers, which was the 24-hour mark. So yeah, that was insane. But I was still mentally
no sleep.
At this point. There was no sleep. So the first night, so we started at 6:25 p.m. and the first night I hadn't had coffee the whole day, because I knew that I wanted everything, like I wanted when I had that first bit, when I needed it, like it to actually work. So I think it was about 10:30 p.m., 11 the first night that I had it, and I needed it. I was about to fall asleep and I had it, and I was like, sweet. I was all good until, I think it was the next night following, after the 24 hours, coming into it again. I think it was around 9 o'clock when it got dark for the second time, that I was like, I need to have a nap, because I almost dropped on the track, like falling asleep. Like only I could feel it. No one else could really see it, but I was like, I'm exhausted just mentally. Like body was fine. Just mentally, I was like, I'm so tired. I haven't slept. So I went off the track for maybe a 5-minute quick power nap. And that 5 minutes, I woke up feeling like ready again. Like it was a brand new day. It's crazy, but there's a lot of studies done on it, and there is some documentaries of like ultra marathon runners where, you know, they literally drop to the side of the road for 90 seconds or whatever the period is, and they wake up and it's like mentally you're falling asleep and it's like a brand new day when you wake up, even though it's been a minute or 2 minutes. Just that shut eye can do so much. So I was like, I'm going to test this out, and did it. And I woke up and I was like, I feel great. Like, let's go. And then there was another point where I was tired again. So I had another little 5 minute just to get through it. To be honest, like it was not as hard as what I thought the whole challenge would be, because I only had to break it up and focus on 13 minutes. There was obviously past, I reckon it was about the 220 kilometer mark, where that 13 minutes started to feel really long, and I was counting it down. I was like, okay, I broke it down. Okay, there's another 8 minutes and I get to walk. Another 5 minutes and I get to walk. That's the only way I got through the end. Rather than, there was one point in the beginning where I was like, oh my God, I've still got like 230 kilometers to go. What am I doing out here? There's no one out here. That was the only point that I was alone. And I started to cry, and I was like, no, stop. 13 minutes. That's all you have to focus on. So mentally, the whole time, I only had that one little moment where I broke down. But other than that, I was really surprised at how much I kept it together, and still kept like an average pace over the whole 31 hours of 6 minutes 46.
What? Dude, that's insane.
Yeah.
What was like, well, how did you actually get prepared for that? Because I know like you're just saying like, oh, I broke this down here, figured this out. There would have been like some training and things to actually get clear on that plan. And I think like, what was the training like? How'd you get clear on that plan? Because I think you were actually really well prepared, and that's what helped you like absolutely crush it.
Totally. So yeah, going into big events like this, you know, if it's something that you want to undertake, a significant challenge, I definitely suggest like, you know, researching, but also training in the lead up to it, so that your body is accustomed to running longer distances. For this one, you know, it was in June, my friend Jordan ran 33 marathons in 33 days. So a marathon a day. So I joined for the first, I think I ended up doing like, don't quote me, but maybe like 15 or 16 of those days, with half of those being like full days of like the full marathons, and then 30 odd or something for the rest. But doing that helped me, you know, I've been doing endurance sort of running and stuff for like the past 5 years. So it's not something that's like new to me, but definitely in the lead up to this, just the constant repetitive day after day and week after week, like staying on the legs and doing the longer sessions, whether it was 4 or 5 hours at a time, and then having your rest and then backing it up and doing interval training, just constantly moving, I think played an important part in me actually finishing this, and the years of experience that I know how to deal with and when things come up, rather than it just being a fresh new thing for me. So I think all of that definitely helps. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, insane. And like, were you just trashed afterwards or what?
To be honest, I was just tired. I came out of it with maybe, I think there was one point where the support crew was like, we've got to take off your socks. Like, let's change the socks over. I had, you know, different outfits the whole time. Like I was changing outfits. I changed shoes, but I didn't change socks. But there was one point where Benny, my friend, was like, we're going to change your socks. And I was, you know, on the chair, pulled them off, and there was like this huge blister on my right toe and then another one on my on the toe next to it. And when I saw that, I was like, quickly put the socks back on. I don't want to look at it, but it wasn't that bad. The reason why I didn't change socks again was because I was too afraid that I was going to be grossed out, but also that it might accidentally pop. And if that popped, then it would have been so painful, even finishing the last 10 kilometers, because my toes would have been rubbing that dry next to it. So before I started, I actually lubed up my feet with pawpaw and in between the toes and then put my socks on to avoid the friction. If I hadn't have done that, I don't think my feet would have turned out as good. But coming out of the whole thing, I was just, at the end of the 250 kilometers, I was just tired. You know, I said, it's time to go home. Like,
time to sleep. Yeah.
And I walked off the track.
Nice.
Like, I was physically fine. And then in the days post, maybe 3 days, I just had a small little inflammation in my left knee, just from like constant impact on the track. But that was it. Like, you
went for runs since?
Yeah. I'm back running. I took 10 days off.
Yeah.
Just to have like the recovery, rather than running straight back into it, and just to allow my body to actually, sort of cool down and my central nervous system to kind of like quieten down. And then, now I'm back into full training again.
What was that first run like?
Incredible.
Tell me about it. How'd you feel? What was it like?
I was just like, oh, it's so good to be running again, just out. Like, I missed it. 10 days doesn't sound like a long time, but when you're not doing what you love, you're not out there running, it's like it feels like forever. And you see people running and you're like, I just want to be out there. So that first run, we ran along the where Burleigh is, kind of like around the gate there over the ocean. And I was like, oh, this is so beautiful. I've missed this. I can't wait to run again. So I ran again the next day.
Yeah. What was your body like after that? After like having that much, so surely you just flew after like doing that like intense period of time for running, and then having like, you rested and recovered properly as well. Surely you're just like,
oh yeah, I didn't go out to do like a fast speed session. I just kind of just went back into it, took it easy, and but yeah, been on some long ones since and some speed sessions, and we're right back.
I love that full journey in. Crazy thing absolutely happened, and then come out of it.
That's it.
I'd like to get into more a little bit in terms of like why you actually did it, in terms of all the suicide stuff and the suicide prevention. I'd like to hear some of the results and stuff you got. I'd like to hear about the people that supported you and hyped you up, and any of the like good messages you've got. Like, I'd love to hear about that first, and then I'd love to hear about, why you're specifically so passionate about that.
Absolutely. What do you want to start off with?
Probably start off in terms of, I would love to hear about, any of the stories around the people who supported you.
Yeah.
Like, did you raise money?
So we raised something like over 3,000 or something, which is awesome.
Yes.
Which is awesome. But I didn't put too much emphasis on raising the money. It was more raising the awareness and the impact of what I was doing, giving people permission to, I guess, kind of speak up. And, I had a few people message me, after I had completed it, maybe like a few days after, saying, thank you so much for, doing what you did. I've been afraid to like speak out and speak up about, my mental health and things like that. But, because of what you did, you've allowed me to confide in, say, my brother or whatever. I had, multiple people reach out, and even during the challenge as well, some people having had just experienced, close suicides and things like that, which was quite heavy, to receive messages like that. But at the end of the day, that's, why I was doing it, was to raise awareness. And, I wanted people to reach out and feel comfortable and, and tell me what was going on, so I could be there for them, or the fact that I helped them, reach out to their close people so that they could, kind of let out what was really going on. So, I think it had a great impact, and I'm quite happy with, the awareness that it raised. But I still think there's so much work to do, you know.
So for that actual run itself, mission accomplished for the awareness?
Totally. It was so amazing to actually see at random times of the day and night, people just come out that I had never met before.
Really? So just random people just coming to support you and hype you up?
Yeah, or come and run some laps at like 1 a.m., 12 a.m. in the morning that, you know, I personally didn't know or may have met once or whatever the case was, to come out and run in the middle of the night.
Did you get to like chat to them, or they just come run with you and you're just locked in? Focused?
Yeah, so the first 100K I did like with no music at all. So like I was fully connected. And then it got to a point where someone came along. I don't know. I was just in a state where I was like, okay, I can't listen to anyone like chatting anymore. I just needed to like lock in and focus. So I asked for my headphones, and the next 150K I was plugged in the whole time. But yeah, I wanted to have that like the coffee, the vice of the music only when I needed it, because if I had done it the whole time, then there was nothing for me to grab onto, you know, to get that extra kind of push or whatever. So I did silent and chatted with people for the first 100K. But yeah, the fact that somebody said this to me, that, you know, you gave permission to people to be able to come out, you know, in the middle of the night. Had you not have had this kind of challenge, they probably would never go and run at 2 a.m. in the morning. But because you were doing it, it gave them permission to come out and do something crazy for themselves. So yeah, it was the most incredible thing, and I still say it, is watching people come, having not know each other, and start mingling and, you know, creating friendships and like just talking amongst themselves, because they're all out there in the middle of the night for the same cause, for the same reason. And it was just a beautiful thing to watch, people coming and leaving and going and coming back. I had people leave and come back 5 times. I'm like, you're back again? They're like, yeah, can't miss it. I'm like, this is incredible. Like coming back at like midnight, going away for like half an hour and going, oh no, actually I'm going to go back there. I was blown away. But yeah, it was all for a good cause, and yeah, super grateful to have had such a good support crew, which I think is actually so important when you're going to be doing something like this, to have good support around you, especially when it's like a physical challenge, because you get to a point where you can't actually think for yourself. All you're worried about or focused on, for me, was like 13 minutes, 2 minutes, 13 minutes, 2 minutes. I didn't realize it was going to be so hot on the Saturday. The sun was out, and thankfully I had, you know, somebody who had like really, really good experience in events like this, say, okay, you need electrolytes every 15 minutes, you need food, like, because I wasn't using my brain anymore. I was just focused on left, right, 13-2. So I kept getting fed electrolytes and food, which felt like every 2 minutes, but it was actually every 15 minutes. And it got to a point where I was like, look, I can't have any more. Like, it's sitting up to my like throat. I feel like if I swallow any more, I'm going to vomit. But I kept chugging them down because I knew that I needed it. And if I didn't, because the heat was really hot and I was losing a lot of like minerals and electrolytes from the sweat. So I just kept having to put it back in. But doing something like this just showed me again that it's so important. You can't do things like this on your own. You just can't.
Do you have any moments as well where you sort of just sat down, took a moment and reflected and just soaked in, like being really proud of yourself?
There was probably, I probably haven't really even sat down after it, even still.
Well, I'd like to reflect it to you now, man. How does it feel when you think about it? Like, truly, inside your chest, how does it feel?
To be honest, I mean, when it's something that you do, you don't, I don't know, I haven't really given myself the chance to kind of like look back and really think about it, and how, I guess, how big it kind of really was. You know, when it's your challenge or it's your thing, you don't really like paint it as this because you're just like, I just did it. Yeah, cool.
Dude, 250 Ks, like essentially no stopping, is massive. The people that you affected with people coming out and doing those things and the support crew and everyone watching is a big deal. And the ripple of effects of like, because everyone on here that I know, like in the Gold Coast, talked about it. Like the ripple effect that would have had in all the people and all the conversations that would have happened without you being aware of it is some insane impact, man. I think you can really sort of just like, challenge you just to like let that soak in and just be proud of yourself for that, because that's insane.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm just, thank you. I mean, I didn't do it to have people talk and stuff, but I just did it so that if people were to talk, like the awareness was raised about it. And I guess when I did have people reach out, from those messages, I kind of realized that I did have a little bit of an impact, which feels good.
Yeah, big time, man. Like,
yeah.
It rippled out there, whether like you decided it to or not, and like whatever like the intentions were or not, like it had impact. It was out there, and like regardless of intention, like people were talking about it. So I think you did an awesome job, man.
Thank you.
You should be real proud. That's like, like, and you get to feel that too. Like you get to like sink that in, and like selfishly, I think take a little bit of time to be like, whoa, I did something good. I like contributed back to humanity. So
yeah, thanks.
So wild. Wow. So back to it. Why, like, what motivated you specifically to raise awareness for suicide prevention and mental health?
I guess for me, it kind of starts back from when I was a kid. I grew up without, I think we've chatted about this before, but for people listening, and I'll just say it again, but like I grew up without a father. I only had my mother and my sister in my life. And so naturally I was more feminine than all of the other boys. And then going to school and growing up a child model, I guess, added more flame to the fire as well in terms of being name called. I won't say the names, but you can already imagine. I went to
and bullied.
Yeah, when high school's already a hard time for everyone, but then to be surrounded by just all males at a private boys' school.
You went to a boys' school?
Mm-hmm.
Hectic.
Private boys' school, and then growing up, still trying to figure out who you are, but then being on TV, and then the whole bunch of things adding to the fire for why I would get picked on, and me still trying to find my feet. There was points where like I was getting in trouble a lot as a kid because I was pining for the validation and acceptance from my peers, trying to be more masculine to prove that, I could be one of the boys, and I wanted to get invited to the parties. So for me, mentally, I was really confused with, what I should do and how I should be. And there was points where I was like, what am I even doing, here? Like not at the school, but like
alive.
Like why am I like, am I going to be picked on for the rest of my life because I am
just trying to be you?
Yeah. But I kept trying to be somebody else. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because the real me wasn't accepted. And yeah, it led me into a lot of trouble and points where I just didn't really want to be here. I guess so that's probably why mental health is something that's really, really close to me. And I've had, cousins and stuff really with close calls and other family friends who have kind of, taken their life. So it is something that has been around close to me. So yeah, I always try and, raise awareness, for people to speak up. And I guess now, like I turned a corner at 16 and where I was almost expelled because of
what for?
Well, it wasn't what for. It was because I was suspended every single year because I was always getting in trouble because I was, still pining for that validation. It got to the last point where my principal was like, there isn't going to be a next time, like you're out. And, I looked over at my mum, she had tears running down her face. And that was that moment where I was like, there's no way I can let this woman be disappointed in me again. And so I turned a corner, and it was literally, my mum still says it to this day. It was like I woke up the next day a complete different person. I stopped like caring what people thought of me. I became who I was meant to be, and who my teachers could see, like what potential I had. I accessed that and just like stopped caring what everyone else thought. You know, became like school leader. I got the top leadership award, house captain. I was already a smart kid. I just wasn't applying myself because I was too worried about like, you know, mucking around and what other people thought. But, you know, some people never get to that point where they realize that like nobody actually really cares.
It's all in your own head.
It's all in your own head. You know, people can go through life, and lots of people do, where you build up a reality in your head. And I know we do it. Like, we're not friggin' perfect. We build up a reality in our head about how a situation is going to play out. And we start, you know, getting worried and then in fact, that's not actually what happens or what that person actually thinks at all. Yet we've built it up before it happens. So I always say, like, when you worry, you actually suffer twice, because you're worrying before the event. And then when you get to the event, it's not anything like what you worried about. So you're actually just building just garbage up in your own head.
Dude, and I love so much how like running can play, and like physical exercise can play such like a big role in all these different things. So for you specifically, what was like the role that running played for you to help you like sort of get out of that? Also, how's that mic in your face or not?
No, we're good.
Good? Sweet.
Running for me, it's kind of my like form of meditation, but also it's my place where I allow things to come out and emotions. And I guess for me, that's why endurance is such a massive attraction to me, is because it allows me, or I allow it to allow all my emotions or problems to come out, and it's my time to deal with things. So when I go for a big run, the first half an hour, if something's happened or stressful or whatever, you know, it just kind of like flushes out. So that's why I don't like to use music, because if I come back from a run where I've used music, but I've used the run to try and let go, I'll come back to the same problem because all I've been listening to is like just music in the background, and I haven't actually allowed my thoughts, my brain waves to like figure out what I needed to. So that's why I generally use silence.
Hi everyone, thank you for listening to these podcasts and applying these concepts to your life and sharing these with all your friends and on your stories. I am seriously so full of gratitude. I am currently experiencing one of the best phases of my life, and I just want to share this with you. If you know someone, or if you're a man who is at that stage of your life where you're unclear with what to do next and you are self-sacrificing to help everyone else, saying yes to everything, doubting yourself, suffering from imposter syndrome, or you can't find your purpose, so you're constantly distracting yourself with hobbies, working too much, other distractions, or a partner or an ex. We are running a group coaching program for ambitious men called Overcome the Chaos for you, especially if you are someone who wants to network with other professionals, get support, learn the tools, and stop holding yourself back from becoming the best version of yourself. The first half of life, the scariest thing is living at your full potential. The scariest thing at the second half of life is never actually taking the leap. So please send me a message on Instagram saying ready, or apply through my website, CoreyBoutwell.com, and we'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah, it's my kind of way to let go, but then also it comes my creative time as well. You know, when I don't have anything that I need to sort out, or I've sorted it out, and the next 20 minutes I'm running, my brain starts like firing, you know, with creative ideas of, you know, whatever it is with food or business or whatever. So as soon as I get back from the run, I try and action it straight away, get on the message, get on the voice note, whatever it is, write it down. So that, you know, I think that's like how a lot of people come up with, you know, creative ideas, not necessarily.
Stillness.
Yeah, it's stillness. Yeah.
I think that's like real important, because like I think for men in particular as well, which I love, like, raising all like the awareness for like everyone, but like I'm real passionate about helping men with things. And I think through, if you just think about the old school tribal days, right, of how we used to be, like obviously genetically we haven't changed that much in like 500,000 years. I don't know the actual science, don't quote me on it, but it's been a long time. But we used to fast. We used to do so much long distance. We used to hunt. We'd spend a lot of time alone trying to figure things out. So it makes so much sense to me having a process where you're pushing the body to its limits on a regular basis, like by yourself, in your own head. For us guys, and as you mentioned, like right before on the podcast, or maybe it was at the start, I can't remember, talking about real passionate because people do get stuck in their own head. Men can't feel these emotions and these feelings, and it bottles up, and it's hard for us to process them, which is 100% why you're doing these long things. It's like, you've found out a way to process them. It's a little bit different because I don't know if you know this, but girls process a lot of their emotions through talking. This is how they get through theirs done. For guys, we don't have the communication or the feeling skills that they do. We've got to like figure it out for ourselves. So I think it's like a hack, an absolute hack that you've got, and that you've like developed for yourself with the endurance of just, boom, let's get rid of these emotions, boom, creative ideas. It just makes so much sense to me.
That's so interesting what you just said about females, because I'm recollecting like situations now, and I'm like, yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Females, they love to talk.
Yeah, that's how they do it. Like if you just think old school ways in terms of tribes, tribal culture was men would go hunt, women would look after everything.
Yeah.
And when they were looking after everything, they talk to the children, talk to each other, they'd teach people, they'd mentor stuff, they have all these things. So they'd speak about their emotions. And every time my mum's on about something, she talks, I listen to her for a while, and she goes, oh, I feel so much better. I talk to Chloe, my partner, she's speaking for a bunch of times, she's got these emotions coming up. I talk, I listen, be present. I feel so much better. For me, it doesn't work that much. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've got to go to the gym or
Yes.
like do something or like sit down in silence. And the days that I forget that it's happened and I get overwhelmed and pressures on my shoulder, it's like,
I haven't worked out today.
yeah, I'm going to go do something like strenuous or fast or something.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's exactly right. And that's why I do a lot of fasting as well. But yeah, no, I'm the same way. I'm like working, and if I haven't, I'm like, fuck, I haven't been for a run. Like I don't care what, I'm going outside. Boom. See ya. We'll go and lift something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're crazy because you train hard as well.
That's so interesting that you brought that up, because now I'm like.
Any scenarios come up in your head or?
No, just about like how I deal with things, and how, sometimes I think maybe I should talk about things, but for me it just doesn't work. I'm like, is there something wrong with me, like that I need to go and like lift or like run or like sprint to kind of like let go? Is that wrong?
It's not wrong at all. I think it's the best, most natural way for us dudes to do it. Like, yes, we should be able to talk about all of our emotions. And yes, I think we should absolutely encourage, because communication and articulation, I believe, is like one of the most powerful skills we could ever learn.
Yeah.
And the better we get at articulating and the better we get at communicating, it's like, cool, we can process these things in real time. But it's still not going to release. Just because you've talked about your emotions, I don't know about you, but as a guy, like if I get in an argument with someone or whatever, I'm like, I've spent a lot of time like with my coaching. I teach a lot of emotional intelligence to people. So I'm like, I have to be quite emotionally intelligent myself. So I pride myself in my emotional intelligence. I can talk, I can communicate, I can do things with my emotions, and I feel better. But immediately after, like if I'm in a conflict or a confrontation, or there's something like a big energetic thing, like an opportunity, or I'm stretching myself, it still hasn't released. Like there's still like a whew, and it isn't until you train or walk or whatever the next day where it's like actually processes and you're, I can relax now. It feels so good.
So true. Even just yesterday, like I went for a run in the morning, but then I had a super hectic day. And my partner came over, and I was like, oh, you're here at the wrong time. Like I'm literally just about to leave. She's like, where are you going? I'm like, I need to go for a run. Like I need to get outside. She's like, we went for a run this morning. I'm like, yeah, I need another one.
Hey, I'm an emotional guy. Let me go. Like.
Yes. There's so many emails here. I got to go outside. Yeah. But you know what I used to do, and I've stopped doing it, is when something was wrong, like I couldn't deal with something, I'd escape. I'd like go away for 4 days and like bring my whiteboard and bring my cameras and do all my work and cooking and stuff, and then come back. But it never worked, because I'd escape the problem, but then I'd come back to the same problem. So I had to learn how to deal with things in the vicinity of my work and home place, as opposed to escaping. I just kept doing it. And it wasn't until one of my friends was like, bro, I wasn't going to say anything, but it's after I'd just come back. He's like, you can't keep like escaping the problems. He's like, you've got to learn how to work and deal with them in your home place. You can't keep going on holidays like to deal with your shit. That just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's pick your poison, right? So for yours, it's like your avoidant like scenario going away. For other people, drugs, alcohol, sex, partying, late nights, overworking, like whichever one it is. I think it's awesome that like you had that reflection. Like, had to change it.
Yeah. And now I just, because I before I wasn't able to work from home. Like I just couldn't, it didn't, like small things annoyed me and it shouldn't have, but it did. And I've learned from it. I couldn't work from the same place that my housemate was working from, you know, when he was on the computer. I couldn't concentrate, you know, I just couldn't do it. I just was like, I need to go away and smack out a heap a bunch of work and then come back. But then I came back and then I was in the same problem. I'm like, oh, I can't work here. And then my friend had a chat to me and I was like, okay, this is going to be tough, but I need to.
So what did you go through to like figure that out? Was it just more runs like during the day or?
I don't know. It was just a conversation, honestly, that triggered me to be like, you know what? You're actually right. I need to grow up and somehow figure out how to work from home, because that's what I do, is like I work from home predominantly, and figure out how I can deal with these things that shouldn't really annoy me. So now, do you know what? Like I actually give less fucks. Honestly, I know I shouldn't swear, but whatever, but I don't really like give a fuck anymore about anything but my goals, my passions, my dreams. They are number one. And do you know what actually really changed it for me? There was a book called The Way of the Superior Man. That changed my life. I'm serious, because the way that I view women and the way that I have done in the past with relationships and things, I listened to that book. I've listened to it about 16 times and I'll keep listening to it. But when I first came across it, I didn't have a partner, right? So it was all hypothetical, because it talks about, you know, when you have a partner, this and that. And I was like, wow, I've been doing it not wrong, but like I can see why it hasn't worked in the past. You know, I've chased the woman, I've, you know, this and that. I've done everything and I've lost track of my goals and my purpose and my mission, you know, to please her. And it's never worked out. I've always looked like this hungry dog, which then that is actually unattractive, because you're going away from your purpose and your mission. Yes, you need to be able to find balance, you know, when you do have a partner, because I'm sure, you know, you've worked that out and it looks like you've kind of successfully, you know, with
proud of that. There's a lot of skills for that.
Honestly, I look at that relationship that you have with Chloe and I'm like, that's fucking ideal, because you both have thriving businesses, yet you're really good together. So that's kind of what I'm now like fully on my purpose and my mission, and then my partner, she's there as well, and we have that separately. So
yeah, and by like law of attraction as well. Like if you are, you know, really attached to something, by law of attraction, polarization is just going to go, like it'll just bounce out. Have you leaned into any other of David Dieter's books, because he's the author? Oh man, there's more.
Oh, give me more.
He's got more.
Yeah, right.
He's got 2 other books, and I'd say audio listen to them, because one of them's confusing and one of them's not. One of them's called Intimate Communion. Amazing. That's more on just like relationship dynamics. But when you're learning this stuff, you think like, oh, relationship dynamics and masculine and feminine, all the different energies and polarization, blah, blah, blah. But what I think is really cool is like, it helps you just get clear of them within inside yourself. Like, oh, anything that's happening in a relationship between me and someone else, and, you know, is also happening within inside me.
Yes.
Obviously. So there's one there which is specifically on that. Then there's another one, and it's called Enlightened Sex. The normal book, there's like a physical book, which is hard to get. I don't know why it's so hard on Amazon, but if you get the physical book, for some reason, it's just like there's 2 versions with the same title called Enlightened Sex. One of them's sex techniques. Like you open the book, you're like, okay, cool. But the audio one is called Finding Freedom and Fulfillment Through Sexual Union. And it means sexual by the terms of not actual physical sex, but like, you know, male, female, like sexual union. So it talks a lot about the difference between masculine and feminine. Great listen. If you like Way of Superior Man, because I was like, oh, this book's so good, just saying I've read it for ages. And then I was like, well, I'm listening to the same author. See if you've got any other stuff out there.
Interesting.
Dude, so good.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. I just thought I'd just like plug that in there.
That's great.
Shout out David Dieter. I've been trying to get him on my podcast for like a year and a half, eh?
Maybe this is it.
Maybe this is it. Come on, man.
David, if you're listening, David.
Please reach out. No, but I love that you took that journey and you sort of real dived into like understanding all those things and, you know, giving yourself permission to move forward and like really tackle your purpose. And it's crazy because it like really solidifies you as a human. So like how does your like mind work now? And what are the thoughts and processes that you have for like attacking your goals?
Yeah, like for me, I have a whiteboard. I have everything listed, goals. I don't have any timelines listed on them because that just added stress. I just have my goals, what I want to achieve in the space of my work, and then things that, you know, not that I want to buy, but, you know, lifestyle sort of choices that I want to have, whatever, dream car, whatever it is, have that listed there. And I actually use this technique called 369. What it is you say where you want to be and what you want 3 times in the morning. You say it 6 times in the afternoon, and you say it 9 times before you go to bed. So 3, 6, 9.
Oh, I love it.
Every single day. You visualize, say for instance, it's your dream house or your dream job or whatever it is. You visualize it and you say it to yourself 3 times in the morning with your eyes closed. You look around, say if it's your dream home. You look around, look where the kitchen is to the left, you look to the right.
I can only imagine how hectic your kitchen would be, by the way.
I've got a really good kitchen. It's actually the reason why we took the lease. As soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, we'll have it. Thanks.
Sorry, I interrupted. You were talking. Please continue. We'll talk about kitchen after.
So 3, 6, 9.
Yep.
I also write it down 3 times in the morning, 6 times. I double do it. But it's incredible the goals that I've had on that board that I look at. I'm like, I've got to do bigger goals here because I just keep
just wiping them off, man.
Yeah. But it's great. I'm in a space where I wanted to be 6 months ago, where my housemate said to me, if you want to do this, you've got to go all in. And
what is it? What's the all in?
Well, the all in is like I'm full in on the whole videography and food photography space at the moment. Started with my social media, and now outside of my own personal social media, I've gotten clients for their businesses doing stuff. And I've just become like so obsessed to the point that, I was telling you before, like I will stay up till 11 at night editing because I'm just so obsessed with like creating a story around whatever, the dish is or whatever it is, creating a story and captivating moments in that video, even if it's like 10 seconds. I'm so obsessed with like the different frames and just, leveling up. I got so obsessed that I actually studied food photography and videography specifically on this online course because I wanted to level up. Like I'm that obsessed with it all. Like
you're so creative, bro. Like even before, it's so funny. Like just like watching your journey. It's like before you even like launched all in on this, like all your food stuff and the content was insane, man. It's always so insane. So I was like, well, of course you landed here. So it's awesome seeing that you get to like flex all of that creativity, man. And I'm prep right now, so I'm like super hungry. And I hope one day I get to taste your cooking, bro. Because
it's like I don't go onto your page for a reason. Why aren't you liking my shit?
Yeah, literally, I get in there to make it all tasty. See you, bro. I gotta get on there to get all hungry and be like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Not gonna like it. Thanks, Corey. Yeah. So I just have definitely, since I read that book and then had that conversation with my housemate, all I'm super, super focused on is the purpose of why I exist and why I do what I do. And everything else, like for instance, my partner came into my life just by chance. I wasn't seeking it at all. It was at a picnic. I was cutting a carrot cake and, she was looking up at me and...
Must have been the best damn carrot cake.
Her amongst like 13 other women.
Love it.
Anyway, it just goes to show that when you focus so hard on your everything else just falls into line. Nothing else matters to me other than, yes, I care about the people in my circle and stuff like that, but I'm sure you are as well, so obsessed with why you are here, why you are alive, and, it's so, I never try and lose my focus like throughout the day. Like my phone is always on do not disturb, so nobody can get through unless you ring twice. But sometimes I have it on like you actually cannot get through, because I want to be on. I want to be focused on my job, like, and the reason why I'm doing it. I don't want to be distracted by because even if you see a message come through, you can ignore it for so long, then it's still playing in your mind. Oh, I should reply. So I eliminate absolutely all of that. And if it doesn't relate to what I'm doing at that point, don't care.
How good does it feel that you got here, bro?
You what?
How good does it feel that you got here?
I'm here.
Yeah, as in like you got here in terms of purpose, focus, relationship, like physical, like your physical's on, business is on, creative is on, purpose is on, relationships on. Surely that feels good.
It does definitely feel good. And then I also just try and sit in the moment of like, you know, don't disappoint yourself where you were 6 months ago. So say for instance, like you've dreamed of being where you are, or like an opportunity comes in that you've always dreamed about, and yet you go, nah, actually I don't want it. You're actually kicking your, 6 month ago person in the face by not taking that opportunity that you really wanted, and now you actually can have it. Like, take it.
Take the damn
if it's aligned to where you currently are. Take it. Like, you wanted it. Here it is, being passed on to you. But I think it's such a beautiful thing when you see somebody in their line of art or work and they are like so like obsessed. I love watching someone who's super creative and obsessed with what they do. Like my friend, he's just created something for the Swell Fest and he's worked hours and hours and hours, sleepless nights on it. But like when I seen him like working on it and sell the finished product, I'm like, this is incredible. It's so beautiful to watch someone in their like line of work, like
flow, yeah.
Yeah, like even when you see stuff on, social media and this person's making carpets, it's like, but they're making these sick things and they're just like, they're so into it. You're like, fuck, I want that carpet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crazy. Well, what's next for you, man? Like what's for the like physical challenges and stuff? Like, I mean, you're already crushing these things. What's the next ticks on the list?
I don't really have, everyone asks, oh, what's next? Like, I'm happy that I've done that. And I'm just floating for the rest of the year and just like going hard on work and,
Just having some fun, eh?
Having fun and just enjoying life. And I think it's so important, like this whole like hustle and grind thing that's out there at the moment. I think it's important to also promote like balance as well. It's good to be able to like switch on and grind, but like also what's the cost to your health? If you know that it's like temporary, then that's fine. But if it's a constant daily permanent thing where you're just like exhausted and you're not really going anywhere and it's like this vicious cycle, then I think it needs to be taken a look at,
all day. And I did like a story post and I was like, health versus wealth. What one do you choose? And like put it out to people. Because like,
interesting.
I share a lot about this. Like, what do you choose? Everyone chose health.
Good. Every
single person, health. Everyone's like grinding for the wealth side of things. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, stuck on autopilot, trying to prove something, validation, whatever it is. But like, oh, get there, win this, that dopamine. I think everyone's waking up a lot now. I was reading this book. It was a Jordan Peterson recommendation, and it's on like the economics of like the world. And it was something to do, I forgot what it was called. But it's a really good book. And what they talk about is literally health versus wealth. That's why I put it up. And it was funny because it was like, well, the really wealthy people have access to better health systems. Like back in the day, since like, antibiotics, since they were brought out to the public, the wealthy had access to them. Like the really wealthy people had them like straight away. So they were around for like 10, 20 years before they were released to the public. So who knows what's around now? But I think that's just like really interesting though, just in terms of how the internet and the whole world's just like a lot more sort of awake and there's like access and knowledge to everything now that it's like, well, you have the ability to choose. It's not like you're relying on, the wealth to fund your own health. It's like you can choose it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think is like amazing with you do with like as well with the cooking and the understanding, like we're talking before off air. You were like, yeah, awesome for people to like eat like junk food, especially for the mental side of things. But for you, it's like not really a choice.
Yeah. But I also like circling back to kind of like balance and stuff. I think it's important for people to know that like just because somebody is in a position like right now that it looks like they've gotten there easy or whatever. I don't even know what I'm going to say, but there's been a whole, that's right. We're so in this phase right now where we see things on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and we look at the person who is where they are and say it's a high level or whatever, and we go, oh, you're instantly like jealous, you know, because we're comparing ourselves to them. Yet you actually have no idea how they arrived there in that position that they are right now. But just because they're there doesn't mean you can't be, you know. One of my pet hates is like when people judge somebody by the position that they hold or the amount of money that they have or the amount of followers that they have, when in fact they are just as normal as you are. Even actors, Brad Pitt, all that kind of stuff, like just because they're there doesn't mean that that's out of reach for you. If you want to get there, you can get there. And this whole thing with like 15-second highlight reels, you know, we look at someone's story and go, oh, my day isn't as good because, you know, they were out on the jet ski or whatever. But that was 15 seconds of their entire day. And you're judging your whole day off that one 15-second clip thinking, my life sucks. That's why I've cut out, like, for me, I'm on social media for business, you know, for creating, getting ideas. I used to get caught in the trap of like looking through people's stories, but now I'm on there purely to be a creator, and I'll always be on there for researching. Sure, I'll flick through some like random stories, but I'm just like, yeah, sick, cool, whatever. Like I don't get like, oh my God, he was there and like I'm here and I'm stuck in the office or whatever.
You know your purpose though.
Yeah, that's right. But then also don't get caught up in finding your purpose straight away. People put this like pressure on, I've got to find my purpose of why I'm living, and like
you can ask for help too.
Yes, don't be afraid to ask for help. Nothing is ever a silly question. You know, people are always too frightened to put their hand up because they think they'll be like looking at as someone who's like not intelligent. But just ask the question. Who cares? Like, you're going to get the answer. If you want the answer, or you think you should know the answer, or you think that they should think that you should know the answer, but you don't, just ask anyway. Who cares?
Yeah. The only thing that gets in the way is just like, oh, ego.
Yes.
Oh, there's an ego here. Let's get over that.
Yep.
God damn. Yeah, I'm super passionate about that, man. I love that you brought that to attention, especially with the whole social media thing, because I get caught up in it. Everyone gets caught up in it. It's like there. It's our reality now. Like, it's a thing that, especially the Western world, we're looking at. So it's just like, it's just a thing that, you know, we get to learn and be more aware of and integrate.
Yeah. It's not reality. It's just like, and to know that some people like are on there for business as well, rather than like, oh, wow, look at their life. It's like, yeah, that's his business.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, man, so true. My mum's like, I don't understand, Corey, how you make money. I'm like, well, I talk about some stuff. I build trust with people. Then I offer them into a program and they buy it. She's like, but what do you mean? I'm like, what do you mean? I've got like courses and coaching and like so much intellectual property, mum. Like, people buy stuff. She's like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what you don't see behind everything is like obviously, as you mentioned beforehand, it's like, well, I put in like 12 to 16 hours every day. Same thing as you, because I love it. Not because of any other reason. Like, my main, like, same thing as you is like, well, the main thing I'm prioritizing is balance. How can I work as much as I can because I love it, but also have time for me and make sure that it's scheduled in to do my things to keep me optimal so that I can do it, so I can show up better. How good is it?
Yeah. I think breaking it up into blocks as well. One of my friends said to me the other day, and he does it really well. And people always ask him, like, do you even like work? But he breaks it up into blocks. And I hope he'll be listening, but doesn't mind me saying it. But you go hard for like 3 months, like you're going hard, but then you take 3 months, not off, but
chill.
You're still working, but you're not going as hard. And then you go hard for another 3 months. Like, so you're really going hard for 6 months of the year, and then half of the year you're kind of like you're still on, but you're not.
Have a holiday.
You can go and work from here, go over there, whatever. But if you're like going hard, but still you've got balance every day, but like you are on, then I think it's a great place to be in, to understand and know that like taking breaks is fine, but also like knowing when it's time to be on, so that when you do have that break, you can have that break.
And you're so much more productive. And actually, like the reason that you're doing everything as well is like to feel feelings and have experiences for stuff. And it's like, well, if you're not taking that time to really feel and have the experiences and do the things, it's like that's just a form of self-sacrifice, really.
Yeah. And don't be so hard on yourself too. Like the night before, I was editing and I was literally falling asleep like on my computer, and I was like, I can't even see these images. Like I was looking at the image of the pancakes, whatever it was, and I was like, I can't even like see them. And I'm like, I need to get this in tonight. And I said, you know what? It can wait till tomorrow. I went to bed, woke up early, like whatever, normal time. And I was like, I had such a fresh mind and I smashed it out. But I was on this one image, bro, of the pancakes, literally like trying to edit the image. And you know when you're like nod off and you're just like,
oh, Jesus.
okay, concentrate. And then you fall back asleep. You're like, okay, oh, this just isn't happening. It's too late to have a coffee. Oh, I should just go to bed.
Yeah, you got to call it early. Hey, when your performance starts slugging down, you're like, I start doing stuff. I remember when I work too much, I'll start going down doing stupid shit. Like I'll go change all of the titles to my podcast to make them sound more engaging. That's not what work I'm supposed to be doing. I'm here just like changing words. Yeah. Go to bed, man. Come on.
Get rid of the caps locks here. Then stop. You're wasting time. It's not important. No one cares.
Yeah, I know. Tedious. Well, Jans, if everyone is listening, if they haven't heard you beforehand, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at PlantStrongJance or on TikTok at Topless Plant Chef.
Woo, love it. And what about if people were interested in your services as well? Where can they find you?
Absolutely. So head over to jansenandre.com. It's working. The website's fine. You can get all the information you want there. I've got a book on there as well that you can buy, a cookbook. But yeah, we're going to be adding some more, trinkets and more pages and more content, helpful for health and wellness and stuff on the website as well. So it'll be a bit more of a platform and blog style and things as well. So stay tuned.
Save that one. Bookmark that bad boy and get that in there. It's really good. And I like to leave the listeners, like everyone who's listening, with a challenge. Like it's a challenge or an action to take that after this podcast, if they've listened to everything, they're like, cool, I want to implement some of the stuff that you guys are talking about. What would you like to challenge everyone to do?
I challenge you to not necessarily challenge, but I would like you to, talk about your emotions more, or find somebody that you can trust, whether it's your partner or your mum or your brother or your sister or your best friend, and talk about how you're actually feeling. I know it's a hard thing to do, or even actually better yet, try and maybe sit with yourself 5 minutes this week that you listen to this. Just has to be 5 minutes. Close your eyes and just check in with yourself. We live in such a fast-paced lifestyle where there's, so much going on. But, and like you said before, we're on autopilot. But yet we don't really think about how we're just like doing the task. We're doing this. We're jumping from here to there to get it done. And then we're in bed again and we wake up and we do the same thing the next day. But yet, do we ever sit there with ourselves and actually think about how we are feeling? We get asked, oh, how are you? And you're like, yeah, I'm good. I'm like, but are you actually good? Have you ever actually sat down with yourself and asked? And it's okay. It's confronting, but it may seem stupid in the beginning, but just sitting there in silence and just reflecting, I think is so important. So giving yourself that alone time with nothing. I sometimes do it on the beach. I don't do it every week, but maybe once a month, just quiet, sit there, legs crossed, looking out into the ocean, or closing my eyes, listening to the waves and just checking in and reevaluating with where I'm currently at, where I want to be, or just being grateful as well. Gratitude is a huge thing. You know, everyone always wants more. But if you can be happy with, you still be hungry for more, but be happy and appreciative of where you are with what you have. You know, and we're always looking outside for the solutions when it could in fact be within us or in our own pocket.
I say it's always inside.
It's always inside. So just reach deep into your pocket. The answer may be there that you're looking for.
Well, thank you everyone who's listening. Schedule it in or immediately after this. Do it damn now. Thank you so much for coming on Jan's Wild Podcast.
Big love. Thank you for having me.